All right, let's talk about something I think a lot of us are feeling. It's that kind of numb feeling, right? Where nothing really gets you excited anymore. We're going to dive into why that happens, because spoiler alert, it is not your fault. It's actually a feature of the world we live in now. And the good news is there's a really clear way to fix it.
So, real talk for a second. When was the last time you felt genuinely butterflies in your stomach, totally lost in the moment, excited about something? If you're struggling to remember, or if that question kind of stings a little, you are definitely not alone. So many of us are just walking around feeling, well, flat, unmotivated, bored, you name it.
And look, here's the thing you've got to understand. This is not because you're lazy, and it's not because life has suddenly become boring. It's because our brains have been quietly, subtly rewired by the world around us. So first, we're going to break down the why. What's actually going on in your head, and then I'm going to walk you through 4 really powerful habits that work together to reset your brain and bring that feeling of excitement back into your life.
So why does nothing feel fun? I mean, really, what's going on here? The answer is all in our brain's wiring. See, our brains evolved for a completely different world, and they're kind of struggling to keep up with the nonstop stimulation of modern life.
The clinical term for what's causing this modern numbness is something called dopamine stacking. It is exactly what it sounds like. We're piling multiple sources of pleasure, multiple hits of dopamine, on top of each other, all at the same time. You know what I'm talking about. Eating your lunch while you're watching YouTube, scrolling Instagram while you're listening to a podcast. It's just a constant, relentless overload.
Now, to get why this is such a huge problem, you gotta look at how our brains were built. For our ancestors, pleasure was rare. You had to earn it. A little hit of dopamine was this incredibly meaningful signal. It basically told your brain, hey, pay attention, this is good for survival, remember this. But today, we're blasting our brains with more stimulation in 5 minutes than our ancestors might have gotten in an entire week. It's not a signal anymore, it's a flood.
And that leads us right into what I call the dopamine stacking trap. Because when your brain gets used to this constant, overwhelming flood of pleasure, it has some really serious consequences for your motivation and just your ability to enjoy the simple things in life. See, over time, this stacking thing literally rewires what you expect from life. Your brain starts to learn that one activity, like just eating or just walking, isn't good enough. It needs more. Silence starts to feel uncomfortable, maybe even a little painful. And what's really happening is your brain learns to expect the absolute maximum reward for the absolute minimum effort. So of course, when a genuinely difficult or important task comes up, your motivation is nowhere to be found. Your brain basically just goes, why would I ever do that?
So how in the world do we fix this? Well, we start right at the foundation. This is our first and probably our most fundamental habit. One source at a time. This is all about stopping the stacking so you can learn to live with a single source of stimulation again.
The rules sound so simple, right? But man, it's not easy. Just one dopamine source at a time. That's it. If you're eating dinner, just eat. No phone, no TV. If you're listening to music, just close your eyes and listen. Don't scroll through social media. If you're watching a movie, give it your full attention. No multitasking.
Now, I'm telling you, at first this is going to feel weird. It's going to feel uncomfortable. Your brain, which is so used to that flood, is going to scream for more. But that feeling of discomfort, that's a good thing. That is the feeling of your dopamine system recalibrating. It's a sign that your brain's sensitivity to pleasure is actually starting to come back online.
Okay, so once you've started to single-task your pleasures, we can move on to the next step. This is about retraining your brain's whole reward system by playing with timing. This brings us to habit number 2, putting effort before pleasure. This is how you really start to make simple things feel joyful again.
Think about it. The modern trap is to wake up and immediately grab a reward, right? We scroll our phones before our feet even hit the floor. We get our dopamine hit before we've done anything meaningful. The reset is so simple. You just flip the script. Do the work first and then get the reward. This tiny little change teaches your brain an incredibly powerful lesson. Effort is what leads to reward. And this part is absolutely key. Motivation isn't about gritting your teeth and using willpower. It's the natural result of a brain that expects a reward for the effort it puts in. By delaying that gratification, you build up anticipation. And when you finally get that reward, wow, it feels 10 times better because you actually earned it. And that flows perfectly into our third habit. Once your brain starts to trust that effort is actually rewarding, you can start to intentionally rebuild your tolerance for discomfort. And you do this by doing one hard thing.
every single day. You know, most of us run from things that feel hard because they're uncomfortable in the moment, but we have to reframe that feeling. Discomfort isn't a sign that you're failing. It's literally the feeling of your brain getting stronger. It's your mental resilience being rewired in real time. Every single time you push through it, you're casting a vote for a tougher, more capable version of yourself.
Now, when I say hard, I'm not talking about climbing Mount Everest here. We're talking about small, intentional acts of effort, things you'd normally just avoid. Maybe it's a 30-second cold shower. Maybe it's finishing one work task without checking your phone, or just finally starting that project you've been putting off for weeks. The goal here is consistency, not intensity. Do it early in the day, and it sets such a powerful tone. And that brings us to our fourth and final habit. And honestly, this is the one that makes all the others stick. It is the practice that almost everyone avoids because it is so uncomfortable, and that is relearning the art of boredom. This is how you turbocharge your focus for the long run.
Seriously, think about it for a second. The moment there's a pause, a red light, a line at the grocery store, what's the first thing you do? You reach for your phone, right? But what if, just for a moment, we paused and asked ourselves, what is my brain actually trying to tell me in this silence?
Because here's the secret nobody tells you. Boredom isn't emptiness. It is a signal from your brain. It's saying, hey, I don't have any external stimulation right now, so what should I create? It's the fertile ground where your own ideas, your own creativity, your own internal drive is actually born. If you're constantly filling that space with noise, you never get to hear your own thoughts.
And you can practice this in these tiny, powerful moments throughout your day. Stand in line at the coffee shop and just look around. Go for a walk without your headphones in. Just sit quietly for 2 minutes. Drive to work without the radio on. These little pockets of intentional boredom are the reset button that your brain is desperately crying out for.
So at the end of the day, if nothing feels fun anymore, it's not a sign that you need more excitement or more stimulation. It is a giant, flashing sign that you actually need less. Less noise, less stocking, less distraction, and a lot more empty space.
Because when you finally give your brain that space, when you let it recalibrate and reset, something pretty incredible starts to happen. Life doesn't just feel fun again. It starts to feel, well, truly vibrantly alive. And that's a feeling that no screen, no app, no algorithm could ever hope to give you.